Okay, so as I warned you, the evolution lecture was going to be a little bit longer than the ecology lecture. There's just a lot more moving parts and more things that we have to worry about. So here's our review. You should know the definition of evolution, just like ecology, which means you need to know the definition of all of these other parts of evolution, such as natural selection, fitness, genetic drift, mutation, gene flow that we didn't talk that much about, but I think it's a pretty simple concept. You should know how alleles are related to evolution. You should know at what level of ecological organization does evolution operate. And you should know a little bit about how we might answer the central question of evolution. We also talked about 3 basic types of natural selection. If you don't remember that, you can always go back to the videos. You should know the definitions related to evolutionary game theory. And you should also know how to find the evolutionarily stable strategy, the ESS, of a 2x2 matrix game, which we spend an awful long time on here. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. Right, so problem 1, find the ESS. Right, so remember, before I had A, B, C, and D in here, but now I've just put numbers, right? So all we're saying is that in terms of survival and reproduction, maybe in this world these guys have 3 seeds, in this world he can have 4 seeds, and so on. And so use the inequalities that we had before to work out which of the 4 kinds of solutions might be happening here, right? Remember, the 4 things are: 1, the world will be entirely this kind; 2, the world will be entirely this kind; 3, based on the inequalities, we get driven into these 2 corners and the things will coexist happily together, living side by side; or 4, the world gets driven into these 2 corners, in which case we have that funny alternative stable states where it might be this one, it might be this one, and which one is going to depend on the history of evolution. So here's an example where the numbers are 3, 4, 4, and 2. I would write this down on a piece of paper. Don't bother drawing these. You could put L and S in here for long stamen and short stamen. Write this out and find the solution. The answers will be on the slide deck, but I'm not going to talk you through them. Okay, here's a second example. Problem 2. All I've done is change the numbers. So we've got 5, 2, 2, and 4 now. Again, I would suggest you write these down on a piece of paper. You can just put L and S for the strategies, or you can draw a picture if you want. Make sure that you understand how to find which of the 4 possible ESS this is. So that's problem 2. And problem 3. I've just changed the numbers ever so slightly. So see if you can find the ESS of this. I would write it down. Okay, and then problem 4 is the most complicated of all, and it's okay if you can't work this one out. Like I said, the answers will be in the slide deck at the very end, but take a look at this and sort of write out the same thing. So you could imagine that instead of a single number, maybe I know the benefits and the costs of heterostyly, right? You can imagine that the benefits of the trait come from outcrossing, right? There's disadvantages to inbreeding, but there's a cost to outcrossing, and that's that you have fewer potential mates, right? In this world where these things coexist, you can only mate with, say, half of the population. And so think about how you might write this down if these were numbers, and then, or letters like A, B, C, and D. Go back to the previous notes, go back to the previous videos, and just write this down as if it was A, B, C, and D, and then replace that with zeros and B minus C's and see if you can work out the solution. Like I said, the answers are going to be in the slide deck, but I'm not going to record a video of that. I really strongly encourage you. It's like any math problem. Write down these 4 problems and see if you can get the answer, and then check whether you got the right answer. No one's going to grade you on this, so, you know, do it or don't do it, but I promise you, you'll do better in my part of the class if you practice these problems at home the way you would in a math class. And that's the evolution lecture.